Alright, let's go. That's Audacity in, Discord fuck off, OBS is in, and Steam fuck off, and we should be good to go. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Newbie Rumble 6, episode 1 of the first brackets. I'm not sure how many this is going to be, you know, because I'm going to have to do a whole lot of these to get through the first couple of rounds. But, you know, we'll do our best. The first match is, I believe I've been corrected, I think it's pronounced Des Moines and not Des Moines. Which puts me in an awkward position, because my policy up until now has been, if it gets mispronounced, you know, everyone gets mispronounced equally. But if I correct myself to Des Moines, which I'm probably already mispronouncing anyway, then I might have to learn how to say everyone else's names too. That's terrifying, isn't it? Anyway, first match is Des Moines' Fero vs Cthulhu's Eldritch. Everything looks good here, so let's begin. Ooh. Probably should minimize Audacity so it's not taking up precious RAM. Just for anyone who hasn't watched the fleet intro, this is the Eldritch, a bulky missile boat. This is the Fero, 30k cheaper, champion disadvantage, but it is a front-sider and it is quite capable. Let's see what these ships can do. That's interesting. Ah, there we go. I thought the shells were quick, but I was quite surprised to see how slowly they were coming out. A lot of blocks coming off from those impacts too. Let's see how the missiles do. Also fairly superficial damage. The gun is... oh, okay, the gun's crippled. This might be a fairly quick match. I wonder what the Eldritch is loaded with. They're clearly laser guided. Is it a mix of heat EMP, HE, and EMP? I'm actually not sure. Oh dear, the Fero is diving. No, it's fine. The Eldritch, on the other hand, doing... ooh. I forgot about those torpedoes. They're doing a lot more work than I expected. It is repairing quite quickly though. And material-wise, that... ah, no. I forgot to give each ship their material bonuses. That's going to add some editing time to this. But fortunately, it looks like I'll get away with it, because I don't think that the Fero is going to last long enough that its repair budget would make a difference. Now, why do these go wide? They are following the lasers, right? Is there a decoy down here? Maybe the Eldritch has lost its sight. The Fero is definitely not sinking. There goes some engine components. Medium missiles just desperate to get a hit in. Let's see how the Eldritch's interceptors are holding up. Because it did have medium missile interceptors. Ooh. We saw 2 of them go off, but the missiles barely slowed down at all, so my guess is they didn't do a whole lot. That... Oh, oop. The Fero has DQ'd. Did it... Maybe it sunk? Maybe it was an AI hit. Let's see what's left. Honestly, I couldn't tell you, but considering that neither craft ran out of materials, I think I can get away with rerunning that battle. The Fero is interesting. It's starting with only 14,000. I assume because it's got a bunch of batteries to run its railgun, and the battery charge comes out of your material allotment instantly. But, yeah. How much is that? Like, 6,000 material worth of battery charge? That's not insignificant. Alloy on the turret cap. Ooh. A near instant repeat of the last attack. A classic danger with frontsiders of putting your gun right at the bow is you'd think you want your AI and your engines behind the gun where they're protected, but the reality is if the gun goes, it goes. So you'd rather have it further back and let the deck and hull take hits. Now the real question is, yeah, that's a kill. Well, damn. Off to a brutal start. The Fero is dropping to the losers brackets. The Eldritch is proceeding. I'm going to cut the video more or less here, and we'll get into it with the next one with the right material allotments and all that good stuff. Alright, we should be back in now. Yep, excellent. And with Audacity back in, let's bring OBS back in. So, quick change to the brackets. Nothing much has changed except everyone's name now has their extra material budget next to it. The Cirico is a really interesting design. It's super tanky, but not mobile at all. And as you can see, when it starts taking hits, it takes them hard. The Baneling Zenith, I believe it is called, the Gen-Zenith, is also interesting. It's got a huge laser turret. The size of the beam isn't huge though. Remind me, can you set the size of the beam? Or does that indicate damage like a cram shell? Very low in the water is helping the Baneling avoid a lot of damage. That torpedo belt, probably not going to do much because I believe the Cirico does not carry any torpedoes. Back on the Cirico's side, it is getting chewed up, but it hasn't taken critical gun damage yet. And the laser from the Baneling is not putting out the damage that you'd hope. So the Cirico might win this on a DPS contest. However, with most of its detections taken out, the Cirico is likely struggling to land hits. It does have some fairly powerful repairs, and it won't... Was that the laser hit? The laser may have gotten powerful again. We'll see. Another solid hit to the turret. I'm not sure how much damage the Cirico can keep taking at this rate. It's maneuvering as best it can, but... And there goes one of the 2 barrels. 2 more big shells coming in. Is that all the detections gone? Nope, not all of them. We have a... What is that? A 90-degree camera and a radar tracker. Not what you want for aiming guns, but that doesn't really matter because the Cirico has lost its guns. Interestingly, this would be a battle that would be decided by materials. On the side of Cirico's repairs, I guess not. The Baneling has way too much health. It might sink. Unlikely though that may be. Well, with no weapons and badly slapped up armor, I think I'm going to have to set this to fast forward. See you guys in a few minutes. Alright, we're 9.5 minutes in, so the round's about to end, and the Cirico is about to sink. So this seems like a good time for a closing statement. Look at the incredible amount of damage the Cirico managed to sustain without sinking. Bloody durable. Even still got an engine running. Unfortunately, that's a game, and that's a kill. The Cirico is below 55% and will therefore despawn shortly if the round kept going. And the Baneling is at 100% and hasn't sunk and hasn't run out of materials. So I dodged a bullet yet again. That's round one. Now for round two, I imagine what we're going to want is for the Baneling to have its correctly appointed 6,000 materials. As if this wasn't one-sided enough. Asymmetric materials. I've never used this before. This may become quite a mess. This team starts with 8,000. No. It was... Bloody hell, I'm gonna have to edit this out. 26,000, except there's a 7 in there. There you go. Oh, fuck's sake. That many zeros. That's a little better. And as for the Cirico, exactly 20,000. We're going to save that and begin the battle. I'm probably going to be very lazy editing these. I might even leave that in, just to punish anyone who watches. Here's the real question. If I cut it out, I have to spend time cutting the video. If I leave it in, less time editing, but more time uploading. What do I get the biggest savings on? Anyway, you know what? The Cirico has good odds of getting a critical hit early in the match, so we won't fast forward right from the start. Let's hang around for 2 minutes. Again, slow firing, but I believe these are 8-meter shells, and they are, oh boy, enormous. Unfortunately, for the Cirico, that looked like a thump hit, and what could it have thumped? Ah, this chunk of hull. A lot of superficial blocks went flying. Tragically, they weren't superficial enough. Oh boy. Now that's what you want to see. That turret is completely gone, and it was the main damage dealer for most of that last round. So possibly the laser was critically hit and wasn't, you know, doing the work it should have been doing, but I think it's more likely that the Cirico is going to take this one. That was an incredible hit. Did the ERA try to block it? It looks like it hit the ERA and went straight through. Which, you know, a huge kinetic shell, what do you expect? But still. It didn't come out the back side of the ERA, did it? The Baneling's got to be happy for that extra material in this round. 6 grand to repair that missing turret is going to go a long way. Actually, it is already going a long way. The Cirico is almost halfway through its material allotment, and the Baneling is just now dropping down to the amount the Cirico started with. Let's check how the damage is going. Cirico's guns still good to fire, but that laser is actually doing work this time. So those guns might not be guns much longer. Let's see if it gets another shot out, because if I remember it would, I believe it was firing around every 20 seconds, but that might mean a 40-second reload on both cannons when I tested it. If it's a 40-second reload time, it just might not get a volley off. And, worth noting, it's lost most of its detections except the 2 turret-mounted ones. Oh dear, those are exposed gun parts. The Cirico may be crippled. It's hard to see clear through, but only one of these guns is likely to still have a... Oh no, it's still got some downwards connections at least. But we are 3 minutes in and it's not firing. Alarming. Very alarming. Well, 3 minutes in. The Baneling is happily reconstructing itself. Does the turret get reconstructed? I don't believe repair bots can reconstruct turrets or sub-objects or whatever the technical term is. We'll just have to wait and see. And we're going to wait and see from back here in fast forward. Oh, hold on. Was that a big hit? No. Everything's fine. Okay. Fast forward. Alright. Interesting moment to come back to here. The Baneling's just run out of fuel. This... Oh. It's wallowing. The question becomes now, will it sink? Actually, it did go a long way towards repairing that turret. Maybe it only repairs turrets when the main ship is at 100%. That is something that I actually did not know. So I'm glad I found that out. As for the laser, it can't have much power left. Let's take a look at the Cirico. It might just be possible for it to repair. With only one camera, it's really going to struggle to get any hits in with it. But it might just get the gun back on. I must be wrong, because I've seen this gun repairing while the main body is still damaged. I bet the repair bots are just either random or they go by the order it took damage in. Possibly reverse order? They repair the most recent first, so that they don't try and repair something that's not connected? That's the kind of question that really no one is interested in. Let's go back to fast forwarding. Alright. We're unpausing here, unfast forwarding here, because we've got 1 minute left. Let's do a quick wrap up. The Baneling is in just about perfect nick. It's almost got its gun back. Laser's still plinking away. I don't think there's even a beam coming. Oh, look at it. That's adorable. It's tiny. On the other hand, the Cirico is still repairing, but it might, at least I think it is. Maybe it's lost its repair bots. Oh no, there they are. Still repairing, but nowhere near fast enough to salvage the round. And I'm not sure if it has enough materials to do that anyway. And yeah, that's more or less it. Give it 5 seconds, and the Baneling will have won its second round against the Cirico, and it will progress in the brackets. I'd better flick over to, yep, that's it. Now, the next match will be the Johnston by Desmones, coming in with no bonus materials, facing off against the Hallium by the Lazy Slovak. Plus 6/6. No, that's not where it's written. Hallium. 100. Okay, sure. 20,100 materials. And that should be good. Let's go. Yes, perfect. Now, the Hallium is... I love the beeping. The Hallium is an interesting build. It's definitely got the DPS from those 3 cannons. It's definitely got redundancy from those 3 cannons. And it's not the easiest thing in the world to sink. Ooh. Lucky it was just the railings, hey. Now the Johnston, on the other hand, is much more of an aesthetic build. Its torpedoes are deck mounted, which is risky to say the least. Absolute missile bait. The guns are, there are a lot, but they're fairly small, and as you can see, we've already lost one because of it's just being sniped off. We've lost 2. The Hallium definitely has the DPS to go through the Johnston's relatively thin side armor. So the question becomes, does the Johnston have the DPS with its torpedoes? And it's seeming unlikely. Unfortunately for the Johnston, the Hallium has a fairly solid cluster of surge protectors right in the bows of its guns. Right in the bows ahead of its guns, which are exactly where the torpedoes are hitting. So it's unlikely to take out any of this relatively uninsulated detection equipment from that angle. We should see a few more surge protectors falling out from these hits. Nope. Just shows how many there are, I guess. Oh no, the single block of wood on the bow. Oh good, it's back. Repair bots have good priorities, I see. If there are any, there might be missing some. The Johnston, on the other hand, is getting torn up. Is that a... Yep. Down to one propeller, it seems. Maybe two. Guns are still blasting away, but I don't know how much damage they'll be doing. Torpedo tubes are still blasting away. Ooh, hold on. The Hallium appears to have taken damage to its steady blade, and the EMP is starting to soak in. In fact, the little pop guns are even starting to take out the detection equipment. Listen to that, what's it called? The effect where, is it red shifting or phase shifting? I know it's red shifting when it's a star moving away from you and it's light. Is it still red shifting when it's a sound changing in pitch as you approach it? I genuinely do not remember. Hallium and the Johnston are absolutely slamming each other. The Hallium has tons of health left, but no materials. The Johnston is pretty beat up, but has materials for days. Hold on a minute. Johnston, did you get the Hallium's spare resources? It must have been harvesting its own turrets. Which, you know, is a strategy. You know, there is something to be said for the Johnston's design. Yes, the critical components are fairly undefended, but if you have enough redundancy, and you get hit with a piercing shell like that, well, you know, maybe you can just accept that it'll go straight through and out the other side. That's a reason I like to turret everything as well, because in the case of the Johnston, it's happily regenerated more materials than it started with off lucky hits to its turrets. If it didn't have turrets and it had been hit, probably would have lost the gun either way, but it wouldn't have been able to regenerate the materials. Maybe it would have, actually. I wonder what the aim card for the Hallium is, because it really seems to like the stern. Lucky there's some heavy armor there to soak the hits, but ooh boy, detection has definitely seen better days. Let's see how bad it is. $50 meters of error. Well, I'm gonna let fast forward take care of this. See you guys at the end of the battle. Right. 8 minutes in, and we've reached a pivotal point in the battle. The Hallium no longer has as much health as the Johnston, is out of materials, and therefore can't repair, and has no way to retaliate against the damage. So the match is already over, effectively, because the Hallium cannot win on hit points. And the Johnston's not going to run out of materials at this rate. No chance. So, this is where we will call it. Begin round 2. Again, I'll give it 2 minutes or so. See, I know people always said a firing delay on guns was just like a noob trap that would cost you DPS, but I loved it because if you set a 3-second firing delay, you were so much more likely that your first cram shell would actually hit something. Watching those shells go wide in the first second is just... it hurts a little, you know? I guess you could prevent the thing from aiming and just line it up perfectly. Tell it not to aim for 3 seconds. Look at those hits coming in. Early on, the Hallium is just devastating. 2 turrets are done. But unfortunately, the Hallium seems to keep focusing on the same point. It's destroyed its target and has moved on to the next one. What are we pounding now? Oop, there goes a gun. The Johnston is definitely not faring as well in this round. That wasn't a turret kill, but judging by what's in there, you know, I'm struggling to tell. Is that material storage? Yes, it is. Another huge volley of hits. Unfortunately, the Hallium is not doing enough to take out the missiles, which seem to be the main damage of the Johnston. The Johnston is getting... oh, there goes one of the torpedo launchers. This might be decisive. The Hallium is just ignoring the damage, healing it all away. And it's thoroughly cracked the Johnston. This time the Johnston isn't even getting its materials back much. And it's almost been cut clean in half. The AI is exposed. My god. Absolutely brutal. There goes an ammo compartment, maybe? That explains why the Johnston doesn't have the materials it did last round. Its material boxes have been destroyed. You can't have materials you can't store, I guess. That's an often... I wouldn't say unexplored, but it's a rare way to get a kill, isn't it? To hit your enemy's ammunition storage and cripple their ship economically rather than taking out guns. This might be the first time I've seen it actually be decisive in a newbie rumble. Again, I really hope the Hallium has one of those random aim points every 5 seconds cards. Up, there goes the launcher. Any second now, that gun is going to be toast. Even more material hits. Johnston is definitely not repairing after this. And that's a kill. Round 2 goes to the Hallium. Very impressive. Now, round 3. This one is absolutely getting fast forwarded, just in case it goes too long. Anyway, see you guys in 10 minutes. another quick round. In just 2 minutes and 9 seconds, the Johnston seems to have taken some kind of critical hit. I'm not seeing any AI components left in here. And it is down. That means the Hallium is the winner and will be proceeding in the winner's brackets. The Johnston will be going to the loser's brackets. Shockingly, I think that might mean that all three of... I've already forgotten how to say it. Des Moines? It was like Des Moines. Shitty suburb, don't go to Des Moines. You didn't hear that from me. Where were we up to? Final one of the day. Actually, my god, that is true. Every single one of Des Moines' crafts were knocked out in round 1. So they will all be matching up against each other in the losers brackets. Possibly. I haven't checked yet. Sphinx versus the Cerulean Stalker. The Sphinx is, of course, mine. I think a lot of people have practiced against it at this point, so they know it's not a particularly intimidating design. But under the new material rules and with changes to the costs of some components, the Sphinx used to be pretty much 150k exactly, but it got about 25k cheaper. So at the moment, Sphinx is getting not 25k, it got 14,894. So 30,894. Is that right? $34,894. That's it. No one check my math. It's going to be really embarrassing when I get this all wrong. And the Cerulean Stalker absolutely nailed it. Exactly 88 extra material. Whoop. And just like that, the round is ready to go. Ah, the Sphinx. A classic. Were those offensive small missiles? They were, and they had a... I hope none of them were remote guided. That would be against the rule. Look at the Cerulean Stalker go. Round has barely started, and it's already totally crippled the main cannon. Speaking of the Cerulean Stalker, it is a really nice design. Let's have a close look at it. Look at it go. Isn't that just beautiful? Are those radar decoys? Ooh, very cheeky. It's got its decoys out on struts so it can flap them and dodge missiles. That is very clever. As for the armament, I don't think I showed it off in the... Is that sub-objected? Opening and closing its mouth to fire off the laser? That is really clever. Is it shielding its laser when it's under fire? I'm not seeing it firing much. Possibly just small missile saturation is keeping it in its closed mode. It's definitely got a lot of torpedoes. I'm guessing those are offensive. I think it had a laser. Ooh. The chip damage from those small missiles. Any second now. I love this thing. It's absolutely awesome. Now, how's the Sphinx doing? It's taken a lot of damage. Ooh. It has taken a lot of damage. That would have been the, Yep. The advanced cannon detonated. Those torpedoes doing good work. The Sphinx has very little torpedo defense. Ooh boy. You've seen better days, haven't you? The cram cannons look like they've died a slow death to EMP as well. that they were capable of doing much in the first place. It's going to be funny to see how inaccurate this shot ends up being. Actually, for cram cannons, it definitely could have done worse. The small missiles just desperately trying to achieve anything. The Tide Stalker still hasn't opened its front plate to any significant degree. Oop, there goes the laser. Managed to sneak out a shot. Seriously, have I mentioned the Deady Blades back here? Absolutely beautiful design. Beautiful design. It looks like it's going to take a while for the Sphinx to bite the bullet, though. Actually, I mean, the EMP should, in theory, get rid of it quickly. Where did the AI live? That's all cram cannon. I always thought the AI was tucked away in the center of this thing, but it seems like I'm wrong. Is that an actual cannon aiming? Ridiculous. Doesn't it know that it's... Ooh. Well, that's tragic. And that took out one of the stabilizing props. And the steam engine. It seems that this is the end for a World Heritage Site. Let's see how the Cerulean Tide Stalker is doing. Is it still sealing off its, Maybe it's just peeking so it can get a few detections. Oop. Just poking out with that laser. I wonder if that's, breadboard or... What are they called? Control blocks. APN? No. I'm blanking on what they're called. Well, either way, the Sphinx is sunk onto round 2. This one's definitely going to be a fast forward because I don't think the Sphinx can actually hurt the Cerulean Tide Stalker in any real capacity. Look at that. These cannons are so old that they used to have a firing delay on them. Ha! That accuracy is just tragic. How slow were these shells? I think they might only be a little bit faster than a cram shell. And they definitely don't hit like one. Oh! What are the chances? Oh, now that's just cheap. There's the, part connection rules when you need them. Well, another miracle hit like that, and, the Sphinx might actually be able to damage the Cerulean Tide Stalker. Silurian, not Cerulean. Cerulean is a shade of blue, isn't it? So the Sphinx was built as effectively an educational tool. It has very little EMP insulation. It puts out EMP in a saturation attempt with the missiles, I believe, but not particularly effectively. And more importantly, it doesn't move. So if you want to get in close on it, you can circle around it too quickly for it to track you. And if you want to stay at max range, it can't chase you down either. Which is why this match is going so incredibly well for Eternal Doom. it's going to be interesting to see who the Sphinx matches up against in the losers brackets. You know what, I can just check. I have that power. Loser of round 4. It'll be against the loser of round 3, which would be the Johnston. So the Sphinx actually has pretty good odds against the Johnston. The Johnston moves in a predictable pattern, it doesn't wiggle, so the cram cannon shouldn't have too much trouble hitting, and the Johnston also likes to get in close. So as long as the cram cannons haven't been made too useless by the cram changes, then it might actually get fairly far. You know what? Let's see how far it could go. Instead of fast forwarding, I'll just sit here and talk to myself. That'll make it a really fun match to watch, won't it? Actually, is the Sphinx dead yet? Ah, good, it's dead. Not in body, but in spirit. Look at that EMP go. Beautiful. Anyway. That'd be in 10. So if it wins 10, then it will go on to face the loser of 15. Which we haven't done yet, so I can't make any predictions about how far the Sphinx will really go. But it might be up against Al's BB6, it might be up against the Opti-Marauder, it might be up against the Director, it might be up against the Skirmisher. No way to know. Hurry up and die, we have other matches to film. Any day now. Look at that. Classic. Back when I thought I could just make a pontoon of alloy and float whatever I wanted on top of it. I guess I was kind of right. Not even shooting the right way. Did those missiles ever have a 1-turn on them? Maybe they were interceptors. I think even without the decoys, those missiles wouldn't have done anything much. Is that a kill? And that's a kill. The Silurian Tidestalker is moving forwards in the brackets. Thanks everyone for watching. Yeah, we've got 4 more to do later in the week, possibly over the weekend. And then we've got 4 losers brackets, and we'll be into round 2. So, I'll see you guys whenever that is. Let's get OBS. I really hope I started OBS. I did. Let's get OBS out. And Audacity. You are recording, right? Ooh, that was almost a nightmare. Audacity out.